you know, ever since that day, that's why we had this training. Love you? Okay. Who are we missing? Just Brandon, right?
You not be able to make it, or is it just you and I? Well, we have a meeting, which is, you were filling the Bob.
Yeah.
Is Brandon not here?
He's here, I don't know if he's in.
Well, you still have a quorum.
That's true. I
They
forget.
still have a
Bob's
quorum.
filling in for Bob. I think he said he was.
Hi, Allison. It's been years.
I know,
Years
it's like
and
the
years.
same town.
I know. Different sides of town and different lives.
Yeah.
It's two-sided.
Yep. All right. That's coming in, right?
So she sent Brandon a text.
Okay. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Can I track down all the numbers?
Yeah. All good.
I was gonna be late.
Too nice a day to be inside anyway.
It is.
I haven't heard back, but Juanita said she also tried to call him a little bit ago and he didn't answer, so I guess it's up to you guys if you want to get started without. Okay. And then just see if he joins late.
Yeah. Start with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
We used to hold this meeting so informal, and now it's a formal meeting, so bear with me as I'm still trying to understand the formalities. But I've been to enough council meetings, I think I should have it down. So it's Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. We'll call the Traffic Safety Committee meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call. Correct?
Chief Tomasi,
Here.
Rob Culver,
Here.
thank you.
Thank you for attending. At this time, we'll open it up to public comment. This is a time provided so that persons may speak to the committee on any item not on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, public comment for matters on the agenda must relate to the agenda, to that agenda item. Hateful, violent, and threatening speech is impermissible public comment as it disrupts the conduct of the public meeting. This is a warning that if a member of the public attending this meeting remotely violates the Brown Act by failing to comply with those requirements of the Brown Act, then that speaker will be muted. Do we have anybody online, Yvette?
Nancy
Hello.
Toomey, hello.
Hi, Nancy.
Just maybe I should do this more formally here, but I'm noticing that there's a lot of the wonderful trees that we have in our village. They're starting to cover up a lot of the stop signs. So I would like to recommend that in all of the copious spare time that our public works departments have, that they do at least a twice year, maybe spring and fall, check for visibility of the physical stop signs throughout town, because it's getting a little bit impaired at the current time. And I could do a drive around and take a bunch of pictures and send them in too, which would probably be helpful, but would like to call that to your attention.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rob Lechner, new to town, been here a little over a month with my partner and I. And so I just want to preface my remarks by saying, moved from Midtown Sacramento, which is organized chaos there. So please understand my comments. I'm a little sensitized to things like this. But at any rate, just two items to bring to the attention. I'll dovetail on the woman just before me. But at the intersection of Junipero and 6th, as you're crossing west from Bruno's, it's kind of a blind spot right there. And I've been here a little over a month, and I've 4 times almost been clipped by a car that cannot see me coming around that middle median divide right there. So I know there's a tree that's going to be gorgeous 30 years from now, but right now it's in my opinion, a safety issue. Second thing is I've observed, because we live at Santa Fe and Ocean, and we have a little back way down to 6th, that when you come down 6th to Torres, I think it's more locals, more so than visitors to town. They found a nice shortcut to avoid the Junipero and Ocean intersection. So they come down Torres, and there's no stop sign at 6th and Torres. And so it's a speedway right there. And been clipped there almost twice. So 6 times in a month. I think my odds are better here than they are in Sacramento. But I just thought I'd share with you those 2 locations. I'm not sure what you would do at 6th and Taurus other than speed lumps or a stop sign, but just want to bring those 2 items to your attention.
Great.
Appreciate it.
And welcome to our village.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thank you. Thanks.
Anybody else? We don't normally comment on these, but I'll comment really quickly. Nancy, if you have like specific intersections and you want to share that, we can bring that to Public Works or even to a Traffic Safety Committee meeting. We've addressed those items in the past before and got them taken care of. And then as far as the crosswalk, I think you'll find out in our presentation on AB 413, which is in effect now, that there will be some changes made, which should improve that crosswalk area for you and that visual. And Tories and 6, yes, that we'll take a look at that, and we're going to add that to our next meeting, so that'll be a topic item, and we can go up there and take a look and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. For the record, Carolyn Hardy. Welcome, Brandon. I did just send an email to Yvette for a couple of to-dos, and one of them was to clear away from the stop sign at Forest and 7th. So I agree with Nancy that it's, as things are growing like crazy this spring, it's time to take a look at the visibility for our stop signs. And on Torreys and 6th, I take that all the time, coming down Ocean, and use that. Part of the problem is visibility of the diagonal parking in front of the motel. And it's the last car. If that wasn't there, it'd be easier to see people at the intersection. But you might consider that as you address your next agenda item, if you're going to put it on your agenda. Think about that. not just a stop sign.
Yeah, thank you.
Where
We
was
have too
that,
many.
Carolyn?
Torrey's and 6 that the man just spoke
yeah.
about.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Thank you for those comments. Okay, our first item is old business. Did I skip anything? Oh no, we're on to old business. Review a request for no parking posts on Dolores Street 2 southeast of Vista Avenue. That was Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for reviewing again this item. So we've got a wonderful picture here of maybe the 2 weeks a year that our street looks like that right there, because school is in its last couple of days and people are not there. So anyway, that's a wonderful picture. The situation is still the same. Big cars parking there. I don't know if cars have grown. It's just become so difficult, and so I'm hoping we can get a parking space where that little car is parked that allows us to pull out of our driveway with some visual down Dolores from people coming up the street. And what happens when I'm pulling out, so say I'm pulling out at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, people are coming in. We have the flag person, security person from Stevenson. However, both sides of the streets are parked. People are coming in and out. I'm coming out, and that person I often can't see. There are people coming up, and it just happens a lot. And I think also what's really had me also want to do this is during COVID, it was great because we didn't have trucks coming down and things like that. But anyway, it's just an issue, safety issue, and I do think that it is a unique situation right there.
It was probably a lot better during COVID without the school in operation either, so you didn't have the delivery trucks coming in and out. For the record, we brought this came to us last meeting, and we had decided to put in no parking posts in that location, and we actually did. We then determined that we hadn't contacted the resident who this is in front of, so we still haven't done that. And we're not saying we're not in disagreement on the post needed. We just want to clarify with the resident that they have no issue with that as well, and then work with the school. Actually, we want to work with the school on a safer plan for their trucks to come and go out of that driveway into the school as well. So it's more than just the no parking posts, but we also want to communicate with the neighbors as well, and we just at this point haven't done that.
Great, and I have to tell you, the neighbor that owns that house, they currently have some renters in that, is very non-communicative. I've tried multiple times to have discussions with that neighbor. And recently, actually, the prior forester had to, I don't know what letter and end they sent. Maybe the town came in and cut down a very dangerous tree, but we couldn't get them to respond to us. So they may not respond. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think we want to at least give it that effort.
Yeah, so how much time, excuse me, sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
So how much time do we give it? Because I would like this resolved before the school comes back. They do start a summer program.
Yeah. I think that's a good goal for us to have it by August resolved. I think that'll give us some time to at least reach out, and
great.
That's just the steps we want to take on that.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you. So will I come back? What will trigger, having it resolved? Do I contact you? What happens?
Do we have your contact information, I believe?
I believe so.
I do, yes.
You do. Okay.
So we'll reach out to you.
Wait.
Yeah, we'll reach out to you, and it's on our list to do, so we'll do it, and that's why we have it in this meeting. So give us time to follow up.
Great.
And we'll reach out to you and let you know where we are. And you can feel free to reach out to any one of us at any time and say, hey, where are we at with this?
Yeah.
Super.
So that's
Thank
fine.
you so
And
much.
Chief, I would suggest that we keep this on as old business and we come back, because we meet every quarter. We meet the Traffic Safety Committee, so I would suggest we keep this on old business just so we have an intentional place and time to come back and talk about this. That'd be June, July, end of August.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Appreciate
you.
your service.
All right, let's move on to discussion items. I just want to do a quick review of AB 413 for everybody, and this is recorded because there's been a lot of talk about this, obviously. This is a new law that came into effect January 1st of this year, with enforcement starting January 1 of 2025. So I want to do a quick review of it and then let everyone know that we haven't forgotten about it. It's something we've been looking at and discussing, but let's talk about it here. And I put together this wonderful presentation for you all about 10 minutes ago. So if you can flip to the next slide.
Always honest.
I'm just an honest guy. So this is AB 413, also known as the daylighting bill. It's signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom in October 2023. As I said, it went into effect January 1st, 2024, which adds a section to the California Vehicle Code, which is section 22-500, which addresses parking violations, specifically under stopping, standing, and parking. Again, enforcement doesn't take place until January 1, 2025. It's known as the daylighting bill, so if you hear that term, that's what people are talking about. It's this AB 413. And what it does is it aims to prevent parking or stopping of vehicles within 20 feet from marked crosswalks, improving visibility and safety for both pedestrians and drivers. So what is daylighting? Here's an example of it. The term daylighting refers to the practice of keeping a clear zone of specified distance on the approach side of an intersection or crosswalk. And that's an important term, the approach side. It's not both sides unless it's a one-way street. It is the approach side, which would be the passenger side, most commonly. The additional language that was added to 22-500 is, it's under section N1, capital A, that within 20 feet of the vehicle approach side of any marked or unmarked crosswalk, or within 15 feet of any crosswalk where a curb extension is present. And for everybody, a curb extension is kind of those bulb outs you see on curbs sometimes that extend the width and the visibility. We do have a few of those within the city. An important term, though, this applies to streets with curbs and sidewalks. So when we start thinking about our village, and welcome to our village, you probably recognize that there aren't a whole lot of curbed streets with sidewalks. It's mostly downtown with a few of our residential areas that have that as well. So additional language that's added to this section includes a couple of options for local authorities that they can do. One is that a local authority may establish a different distance if both of the following requirements are met. The local authority establishes the different distance by ordinance. That includes a finding that the different distance is justified by established traffic safety standards. And a local authority has marked the different distance at the intersection using paint or sign. Nobody knows what that traffic safety standard is, and it may be a while before anybody really truly understands that, so we're not looking at that in this city. We looked at it initially, but again, nobody can define that or knows what that is. I can tell you that our traffic safety here in the city is very good, considering how many pedestrians we have and how many crosswalks and people crossing in the streets. We have very few pedestrian collisions. In fact, the last one downtown I remember was about 18 years ago or more. So additional options that local authorities may take is a local authority may permit commercial vehicle loading or unloading within 20 feet of the vehicle approach side of any marked or unmarked crosswalk, or within 15 feet of the same curb with a curb extension if it's present. So instead of having those no parking, you could actually put commercial vehicles in those spots. Commercial vehicle is typically 20-minute parking in those areas for loading and unloading of materials. And we do have a number of commercial vehicle zones within the village already. So you can do that if a local authority authorizes the commercial vehicle loading and unloading by ordinance and identifies the crosswalk or crosswalks in the ordinance. And then the local authority marks it with paint and signage. And signage can be painting on the curb to identify it. It doesn't require a posted pole signage. Another option that authorities can take is to allow for electric vehicles, bicycle parking zones in those same areas. So those could be white with the paintings as well that say bicycle or electric vehicle scooter parking. So what are our next steps for the city? Well, just know that the police, the planning department, and public works are all working on this collectively. We're looking at ways to limit the loss of parking spaces downtown, because initially when you hear about this, you think we're going to lose a lot of parking spaces. There are options for us to reduce that number. One of them is the better management of existing spaces, the 30-minute zones we have downtown. I wish we had a larger audience so I could ask someone to guess how many 30-minute zones we have downtown. It's 137. We used to have about 80, and we almost doubled it during the 2015-16 parking management plan that we put into effect to limit the impact on residents and guests in the village. So I think we have opportunities to better manage that, maybe by reducing some of those numbers. And a lot of those spaces are on corners, which would be impacted by this law. Also, better management of our loading zones. We do have quite a few loading zones already in the village, but perhaps better placement of those. 2 corners that are less pedestrian used, and removing them from mid-blocks would be a better way of implementing this law and not impacting the village as much. And then identify areas where no parking is required per AB 413. That means what are our heavily used intersections where we really want to increase that visibility, the daylighting. We do have those intersections where we could implement this law, but then look for those opportunities where we can create more loading zones and bicycle, motorcycle, electric vehicle parking to also meet the requirements of AB 413. And I think those are our options that we are looking at.
Can you take questions real time?
Sure.
What's the 30-minute zone management mean?
It mean,
I know what they are.
Sure.
I just don't know what the management of it means.
No, I appreciate that. We have a lot of 30-minute zones downtown. We can remove quite a few of those 30-minute zones and convert them back to 2-hour parking. Or we can convert some of those that are already on those existing corners to meet the requirements of AB 413. So we may lose 30-minute zones. I don't think the intention of, for me and my historical view of the downtown, the 30-minute zones, we have too many of them. We created a whole bunch of them to help alleviate the paid parking, which never happened. When we took out the paid parking back in 2016, we didn't take back the things we added to alleviate the strain. So we can take another look at that to add 2-hour parking rather than 30-minute zones. Does that make sense, Nancy?
And for those watching out on Zoom, the question was, what is meant by better management of existing spaces? We'll do it Jeopardy style.
Thank you.
Question after the answer.
What is?
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Did that answer your question, Nancy? What else? Do I have another slide on there? Next steps. Next steps is for us to develop a plan, which we're not there yet. I'm guessing what I put. Then we're going to present to council for approval of the plan, draft the necessary ordinance for approved loading zones, which would be required if council approves that. Then move forward with Public Works painting curbs and then begin the enforcement of it. And if we finish before January 1st, any enforcement will be warnings only. And then starting January 1st, we would start writing tickets for violations.
Chief, could you, and you may have talked about it a little bit, but I think it's important to hit on it again. Could you talk a little bit about how this law impacts parking, let's say, in the residential district where we don't have curbs and sidewalks, and how does this apply in the residential district?
At this point, because the uniqueness of our village, without sidewalks and curbs, it doesn't fall under the guidelines of AB 413, so we're not addressing that at this time unless the legislation changes. We're focused on downtown and then areas in the residential area that do have curbs and crosswalks.
Okay. So like areas like down by like La Playa where there might be a sidewalk. Okay,
Correct,
great,
yes.
thank you.
All right. Are there any questions from the public?
Yes, my next question is, in just reading the bill, not the ordinance that you pointed out here, which I'll go and read, it also called out needing visibility for driveways into parking lots or otherwise. And we've got quite a few of those in the downtown area for the mostly underground, but not always underground parking lots. So that increases the quantity of spots that would be impacted, I'm assuming, and you're nodding. So wanted to call that out. And then had you done any kind of guesstimate on impact yet of what gets changed with this, even on a casual basis?
Yeah, we have. We've taken a look at it, but I'm not ready to share what that is because we'd like to present to council kind of what that plan looks like. And also I need planning to take a look at it and improve my drawing.
Your drawing was very pretty. But yeah, what the chief's alluding to is we're going to use, a GIS map that show, actual square footages and linear distances and things like that. And we'll have, a much prettier, barely prettier map than what the chief drew. And that'll be the next step for us, as he mentioned, is we're going to take that to council and the community at large, get a good turnout for that kind of meeting and get direction from them if they want to proceed with our recommendation, chief's recommendation, or if they want to tweak that based on community feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then areas you called out, Brandon, areas like the La Playa or some hotels that actually have curbs. And obviously Sunset Center, there's a lot of curbs, and Women's Club, et cetera. So there's true curbs in some areas that are scattered beyond the obvious downtown. And that, we just need to tally all of it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good,
Thanks,
thank
Nancy.
you.
Any other questions? Okay. That's it. That concludes that item. What?
Yeah, I mean, do we have to, I guess we're going to tell, are we taking action on this one? This is.
No, that was
I
just a
guess-
presentation.
Okay, so it's just a discussion item.
Yeah.
So we don't have to take a recommended action to send this to council or anything like that?
No, just the
Okay.
next steps that we're continuing to work on it.
Well, I think I just, one extra comment though, based on the conversations we had leading up to this and what I took away from your presentation, I think, for those that are watching and those that are in the room, it seems like and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but our goal with this is to utilize those tools that were given to us by the state and the law, things like the loading zones, the bikes, the EV parking, doing as much reconfiguration as possible with the bigger goal of losing as few parking spaces as we can downtown, but also meeting the law at the intent of making downtown safer.
Correct.
So that's a generalization, I guess, that I wanted to make sure we had out there. But correct me, please, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, we're not ignoring pedestrian safety. That's still a priority of this
Yeah.
law. But also I think we can do it in a way where we maximize pedestrian safety, but also reduce the number of spaces we have to lose.
Okay.
And that's our goal.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right, next item, and our last item, is review a request for a directional sign around a tree on Mountain View Avenue and Guadalupe Street. And that's Carrie and Suzanne, is it Hawkins? Anybody here? They're not here? Are they online? Okay. So this is a request that came to us from the residents. And the issue is this particular intersection, which I feel might be Carmel's first roundabout. Nobody gets that. Thank you. But as traffic is heading, we'll call this west, it may not be true west, but as we're heading down Guadalupe and you get to the intersection of Mountain View, you also could encounter traffic coming up Guadalupe, crossing Mountain View, or a vehicle traveling up Mountain View and turning left onto Guadalupe. This is a narrow intersection between this island and the Forest Theater fencing here. And the request is that we do not allow vehicles traveling up Guadalupe to pass through due to the narrowness and the dangers. what would be ideal in this, and I don't have a pointer, is for cars traveling up Guadalupe to travel around the set of trees, like the finger showing, and come up this way. That would require a keep right sign on the other side, and then maybe painting an arrow on this street indicating that it's for one-way traffic only on this section. And that was presented to the Traffic Safety Committee to review. And we are open to discussion on that. So do we want to open it up to the community first, or do we want to talk about it?
The way we should do is if we have questions, then we ask our questions, and then we let the community speak, and then we deliberate. So I don't have any questions. I get it. So I think we can open it up for public comment.
Let's do that. Let's open it up to public comment. Is there anybody in the public who would like to comment on this?
I just have a clarification question, Nancy Toomey again. So is the natural behavior to go around what I'm visually looking at as the left side anyway, and it's just a matter of clarifying that behavior with signage, vertical postage, and or on the pavement? Is that, or is that not the behavior that people are doing right now?
Yeah, that's not the reported behavior. The behavior we're hearing is that it's a two-way road on Guadalupe here in this section where we just placed the arrow.
Okay.
And that's creating concern because it's so narrow. And I think what the request is to not allow cars to come up Guadalupe and to have them, to direct them around the tree.
Yeah.
Rob, can you go down? Can you go down Guadalupe and turn around so we can see it coming at it from the other direction? Kind of try to get a feel for that angle. Okay, thanks.
And if I'm a driver and I'm coming up Guadalupe, I'm probably not going to turn right just to turn left to go up Guadalupe. I'm going to see if it's clear, which I could tell. If there's a car there, I'm most likely going to be waiting, or I would have the opportunity to turn right and then left around it. And I know we were out there for 20, 25 minutes looking at it, and although we created some of the blockage, you could see a little bit of the confusion with vehicles coming up. Hi.
Hi, Carolyn Hardy again. I live on Guadalupe Street above the theater, and I've been driving this intersection for 38 years, and I've never really seen an issue with this. And actually, this is not a roundabout, Chief Tomasi. This is one of Carmel's mini parks. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. So my question for you is, what is the accident history for this street and convergence of intersection here between 8th, Mountain View, and Guadalupe?
Now, I don't have any accident data here. I don't have any knowledge of accidents happening there in the last decade.
So absent any, there shouldn't be any need to change or for further signage. I come up, I'll come down Guadalupe, make a right turn on Mountain View, or I'll go across 8th. I've never had an issue. I'll come up 8th Street to head up Guadalupe, and I am one of those that, because of where the angle of 8th Street comes in to this intersection, it's more convenient to take this side closest to the Forest Theater to take it up. And the visibility is such as that you can actually see up above the Forest Theater fence if cars are coming down Guadalupe, and you can either wait for them or hold back or go around. And I just don't think that visibility there is an issue. It's not a blocked intersection like we dealt with on City Council at Mission and 4th when we had to put in a stop sign, where a big pine tree covered with ivy was really blocking view. There's no real blockage of view here. You have some distance of visibility here. So if you can't find any history of accidents there, I don't think you ought to make any changes. If anything, clear the debris away and make the street look wider right in there, close to the pole. Now, where you would have issues on this is during theater season, when cars will park all over that lower section both sides of the street, and I think it's the Shillings that live across, and they put out little orange cones to try and keep people from parking in front of that property. And in part, I think it's so, when the cars park on both sides, you'd be lucky to get a car up in between the cars parked, let alone a fire truck.
Mhm.
So, that might be an issue for you to address some other day, parking during theater season. But, and I don't know how close people get to the corner because of the gate exit of Forest Theater. But I frankly don't see a drastic need for some signage there. Like I said, I've been using that street for 38 years, and I've really never seen or had an issue. So if you can't come up with an accident history, don't make a change.
Thank you, Carolyn. I want to clarify my comments. I'm not aware of any accidents related to the intersection itself causing it. I am aware of accidents that had nothing to do with that intersection. All right. Yeah, thank you for those comments. I think maybe the bigger issue here that we're dealing with is when we do have cars parked in a photo like this, when we don't have an event going on and we have clear sight, really clear sight views. This isn't that big of an issue. And as I stated earlier, as cars are coming up Guadalupe, if there is a vehicle coming down, they're not going to proceed. They'll just, and probably use the alternate route, which is around the tree itself. So I'm open to your thoughts and comments on this.
Yeah, I tend to take the same approach as Ms. Hardy was mentioning. If we don't have data, but I don't think what you're saying is that you ran a report and nothing came back. I think we just haven't run a report. Is that
correct?
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So I think what I would, maybe where I'm going with this is, because someone did bring this to us and they perceive an issue. So we have, competing resident views on this, and I think every point is valid and at least looking into. So I would suggest maybe when we come back in 3 months between now and then, run a report, see if we have any accident data there. Sounds like it's unlikely. I imagine Carolyn would probably know. But also in that 3 month, we are entering theater season. So maybe we can do a little bit of monitoring on the parking and see if there's maybe something to be done there to alleviate any potential. So we spend a little time on this one over the next 3 months, just doing some homework, and then bring it back and see. Maybe the sign's not the answer on the mini park, not roundabout, but maybe it's more about the parking near and around that. So I guess that's where my suggestion. I don't think we take any action at this moment, and then maybe we can encourage the reporting party, the Hawkins, to join us next time, so we can get a little more of their perspective.
Correct. Yeah, I'd like to have their perspective on this since they brought it forward for us. And like I said, we went out there and traffic was flowing fine. Again, we created a little bit of a problem by stopping in that other lane, but people were managing it, self-managed. And the intent of this village for many decades has not been a stop sign based village. It's been self-regulated. And as long as there's clear sight views, normally our stop signs are because it's unsafe. There's sight views. We need council approval. We have accident data to support it. I would agree with Ms. Hardy that accident data is important here to show that there is a significant problem. And I don't see it at this time. But let me pull that data. I was gone for 2 years, so who knows what could have taken place at that intersection while I was gone.
It got really crazy when you weren't here.
Dale.
Hi, Dale Byrne. I think Carolyn might have brought this up, or somebody. We removed a stump, and that's a pretty recent picture because I think August. There used to be a huge stump right at the corner there in front of the Don't Enter sign, and we took that out. So it's probably possible that we could gain a foot there where that stump used to be. We could just go around that corner, get a little closer to the telephone pole, and that would definitely make it a little safer. It's because it would tighten it up. We could also clean up on the other side of the street, on where that lot is there. That could probably be brought over about a foot too. So anyway,
Dale, is that the pine tree that was taken out? See the yellow ribbon
Yeah.
around it?
yeah, how about that? Yeah, that was a big stump.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll clean that up so that as you're doing your investigation, it might make it a little safer. I'm there obviously a lot, but
Yeah.
I've never seen a problem either, so I agree with Carolyn there. But it is an issue, you know, because every time I go there, I go, should I go that way or should I go around? And I usually go the short way. So, you know, you're supposed to go around, I think. I mean, that's the idea. I don't know. I've never thought that it could possibly be legal to go straight. So
Okay.
maybe that's something that you need to decide, Chief.
Yeah, I don't see anything that makes it illegal to go
Okay.
straight at this
All right.
time.
Well, thanks.
So,
We're good.
yeah, you're
All right.
good. Unless we put a sign or, yeah. You got it. When you're saying widen it, you're saying pave it?
No, the paving probably goes a little bit further. It's just the dirt sloughs off all the time.
Okay.
I'll check it out. You'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, I agree with you, Brandon. And Rob, did you have any comments on
No,
this?
I agree with Brandon to just monitor it until our next meeting and maybe have patrol look at the areas during theater events at
Theater.
night and see what the parking situation is like.
We know it gets narrow, so, but we'll take a look at it. I'd like to get some photos of that as well as when it is full with an event, what it looks like with the site views and everything.
Yeah.
I'll bring that back. I have it for the parking lot.
You-
I took a video of the whole parking lot last show. It was not good.
Okay, thanks.
If you would like to, I know you can't put it up on the screen, but if you'd like to pass my cell phone around, you can see the pictures that I took. Can't see exactly the date. I could call that up, but here's some pictures if you want to see it.
Can you email those to us?
I could probably do that. I
Yeah.
think I did it before and I got no response from the city.
Okay.
You sent it to me. I've seen it when we've had events. I know it does get busy. I think I'd like to physically go out there and just look at the site views.
Yeah, they're
Um,
not the best photos, but I still have them archived somehow. I'll get them to you, Paul.
They're probably better than my drawings.
Better than nothing.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Carolyn. So I agree. Let's move this to the next meeting. But in that time, we'll look at accident data for that intersection. And then take a look at the roadway and see if we can widen it a little bit just by cleaning up. And then see if we can get the residents to join us to share their perspective as well, because they brought this forward.
Okay, that sounds like a motion.
Sounds like a motion.
So that's your motion, I'll second.
All right.
Go ahead, Yvette.
A roll call of 3.
Yeah, we do the whole thing now. It's legit.
Go.
Brandon Swanson,
Yes.
Chief Tomasi,
Yes.
Rob Culver,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, that was our last item. We kept it short so we could cover AB 413, but we didn't get as many questions as I anticipated, so a rather quick meeting. It was solid, yes. Okay, that concludes this meeting, the May 29th meeting of the Traffic Safety Committee meeting, and we will set the next, do we set the next meeting, or do we have those already determined?
I haven't scheduled it yet, but I'll send out the invite.
Okay,
We do them every quarter though.
Yeah.
perfect. Something else that changed. That adjourns the meeting. Thank you, welcome.
I'm so sorry I was late. Chip and I were coming from another meeting.
That's all right. No, it happens. I came rolling in at like 1:28. I'm like, I was sitting